Hey everybody, Jenny here from the Pioneer Home, and today I am doing something I've never done before. I'm going live. So this is completely the unedited version of me, um, which I don't know why a content creator would do that to themselves. Why would you why would you put yourself in front of a camera um, when you're used to editing every single word that you say? But here I am. I wanted to answer some questions that maybe you had for me. And sometimes I get questions that go along in my videos, and a lot of them are similar. So today I'm going to be covering maybe some questions that you've had that maybe you haven't asked me. And some of those might have to do with our move to Missouri. We moved from Wyoming to Missouri recently and we bought a farm. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that and also answer some questions about sourdough and my sourdough journey thus far. So, why in the world, why would we move from Wyoming to Missouri? That is such a good question. And I can't really give you a super simple answer here, but maybe something I say will be inspiring to you and helpful in your life. So, a farm dream started within us a long, long time ago. My husband and I have been dreaming about having land for a long time, and we've always moved to places for the job. We've always gone where we had to go to make life work. And oftentimes we were in places that we didn't necessarily want to be. And sometimes life works you into a corner. Sometimes you are put into situations, sometimes by your own choice and sometimes not by your own choice. And it leaves you with decisions to make. And so we found ourselves in a position where we needed to make a choice and we needed to make some life changes. And sometimes when change happens, it's a great opportunity to start a new path and to try things that you've never done before. And so we chose to do just that. And we tried really hard to make our land dream work in Wyoming. We were in a gorgeous place in Wyoming. We were in the Star Valley area. It's up by Jackson Hole, and that would be a beautiful place to buy land. The only problem was that all the prices in the housing market went crazy. And so we just could not really afford what we wanted there. And something inside of me was saying that we needed to buy land. This was the time to do the land dream. And so we picked a few places around the Midwest that looked affordable. We picked places actually all over the country that looked affordable. And we put an offer on a 26-acre farm in Missouri with a cute farmhouse on it. And it was something that I could have only made up in my dreams. So we decided to put an offer on it and it just worked out. And so we made the leap. And it really has been the biggest leap of faith. So if you've ever taken a huge leap of faith, I want you to put it down in the comments or type something up here. Let me know you're here. And this was the biggest leap of faith. And I just want to tell you right now that sometimes things on Instagram and on YouTube or whatever platform, they look picture perfect. Our lives here are not picture perfect. In fact, every step of the way to our dream here in Missouri has been an uphill climb and has been a challenge. And we are still facing so many challenges. And so eventually we'll be able to get the cow, we'll be able to get the horses, the animals, but we're just still trying to get our feet underneath us and really get established here in Missouri. One of the questions that I received was, what was one of the most pleasant surprises that we've had since we've been in Missouri? And I would definitely have to say winter. Winter is the best surprise here in Missouri. The weather changes frequently, but sometimes we get the most amazing warm days. And I think this is the first time in my adult life that I've actually really enjoyed winter. And I think that might have something to do with not being buried in snow for 5 months. So, we're really enjoying that. We're enjoying the weather in Missouri. Even my husband likes the sultry humidity heat in the summer. I That's not my favorite time, but I am enjoying the weather and the people are amazing out here. They're the most friendly, kind, and inviting people out here, and we have just been welcomed with open arms, and it's been fantastic. So, someone asked what kind of dogs we have. We have border collie poodles. I don't know if that's going to be a good farm dog or not. We're going to find out, but we have they're girl dogs too, girl sisters, and they are so fun, and my kids love them. That was on the dream checklist. I said, when we get land someday, we will buy you dogs. And so that was something I had to follow through with. If I had some sort of encouragement to give you guys about following your dreams, since this really is a story that we're still on it. We're still trying to figure this out. We have not made it by any means, but I think that sometimes we have seeds that are planted within us along the way, and those things they don't leave unless we choose to ignore them. But if we water those dreams, if we water those seeds and give them light and put thought to them, and then we add action, those dreams can really bring fruition and come to life. And so I would say that if you have a seed of a dream that's been planted within you, that you should give it a try and to really see if that is something that you really want to do. And my guess is that if you've been thinking about something for a long, long time, that it is something that you really want to do, and you should water that seed and give it light and give faith to it and see what happens. Because I definitely don't want to go through my life wondering what would have happened. So that's what I would say to you. Um, and what this move to Missouri has taught me. And also it's taught me that just because some things are hard, just because it's an uphill climb the whole way doesn't mean it's not right. That sometimes the best things in life that we do can be met with just as much opposition. So that's our move. That was our move from Wyoming to Missouri. It was the biggest leap of faith. We wanted land. We wanted to be able to afford it. And we wanted green land. I didn't want just sagebrush land. I wanted to be able to grow lots of my own food and to have lots of gardens. So there's lots of things that we want to do here, and that's part of the reason why I have this channel, and that's why I love sharing things with you, because I have so much that I want to say, and I have so much that I want to do still and show you guys, and I want to share all of that with you here and all the things that we do on the farm. So, moving on to sourdough questions. If you have been trying to start your own sourdough, been watching lots of people start their own sourdough and wondering how you can do the same, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Some of my questions, one second. This talking live is hard work. I think I have my water here. Some of my questions had to do with starting my sourdough in Wyoming. Where we were living in Wyoming, we were at a very high elevation. And if you know anything about sourdough or baking at all, it is affected by your elevation and your humidity and the climate and your home and all those things, and the live yeasts that are in your home and in your flour, and all these things play into it. But when I started my sourdough in Wyoming, I made my sourdough from scratch. And if that is something that you would like to know how to do, make sure that you put down in the comments below. I want you to type sourdough starter, please, because I've had some other comments on this, and I would love to make a full-length video on how to start your own sourdough starter. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And I started my own sourdough starter. And I started it in the dead of winter. It took me at least 14 days to get it to the point where I could actually bake something. And I don't even know if you could really call it a bake because the first loaves of bread that I made were as hard as a rock. They were not like the pictures on Instagram. They were horrible. They definitely had the sourdough taste, but they were lacking much. And but they were my first sourdough loaves. And so that's just how it starts, right? Um, to follow that journey, that sourdough journey, I just experimented like crazy. I tried all sorts of things, tried all sorts of recipes I found online, and I just kept feeding that sourdough starter. And I didn't ignore it. I didn't just put it in the fridge and get upset and frustrated. And I just kept working at it and kept feeding it and kept baking. And some of the recipes that worked best for me were actually recipes that had more ingredients. So not just the artisan bowl loaves with the water, flour, and salt. My early sourdough starter didn't do well with those loaves. So the sandwich breads with honey and oil and eggs and all those things seemed to do better. So I tried bagels and English muffins and sandwich bread, and I stuck with the things that actually made a good product. And I think there really is something to be said about having a younger starter, um, as opposed to having a very mature starter. When you've had a really mature starter in your home for a long time, a long period of time, there are more live yeasts in your air and your surroundings and your environment. And I think the bacteria just grow and expand and get more mature. So those things do have to come with time. If I was to give a suggestion for those who are starting from scratch, I would probably suggest either, well, you could try making your own sourdough starter. That is, kind of the long run route, and you've got to be persistent. Um, or you can get a mature starter from a friend. So when I moved over here to Missouri, I had put my sourdough in a container and I had shoved it down in my van and then buried it with all my moving stuff, and which was not wise, but moving's crazy anyway. And so I forgot about it. And when we got here on the farm, it was super, super hot. And that sourdough was left in the car. And I ended up tossing that sourdough. Now looking back, I wish I had not. Now I know that sourdough is actually pretty durable, and I should have held on to it and tried to restart it. So if you think you have a sourdough starter that is dead, it might not be. You should try feeding it first and reviving it before you just toss it. Never toss the sourdough unless it has mold and different colors growing on it. Um, but I would try to revive it if you can. So I got a mature sourdough starter from a friend of mine who had a sourdough starter from California. And I just borrowed hers. And so I've had both experiences. I've made my own and I've got a mature starter from someone else. And I can honestly tell you that I would prefer getting it from someone else. If you're really serious about making bread and you want to make it a part of your life, just cut right to the chase and get the mature starter. That's the method I actually preferred. And so, but just to share with you an honest truth about sourdough. If you are someone who wants to start out with sourdough, I would say it is not for the faint heart. If you are someone who gets really discouraged at failure after failure after failure, sourdough might not be for you. But if you're willing to persist and push through the failures and learn and grow and grow and grow with your sourdough starters, then I would say sourdough's for you. You really have to keep trying. And second of all, sourdough is more a way of life, and it really does need to become part of your daily, weekly routine. Um, I do put my sourdough in the fridge away for a week, 2 weeks at the most when I'm out of town. But I've made sourdough a part of my weekly routine. So I make 4 loaves of sourdough bread for the week, and I make pancakes and all sorts of things. And I think that's the best way to do it, is to just keep attending to it and constantly learning with it. And that's how you conquer sourdough. I'm still learning. So some other questions I had about my sourdough are how to store your sourdough. And so I'm still experimenting with what I like or how I like to store my sourdough, but I think it really differs on what type of bakes you make. So, if I'm making a crusty artisan boule loaf where the outside is crispy and it cracks and it crunches, um, I put those in a cotton cloth bag. And I actually made a tutorial for those. I will link that below. You can find how to make those. Um, but it only lasts in those bags for a couple of days. And those bags keep the crust nice and crunchy and crisp. As opposed to a sandwich bread loaf that has oil and honey and it's soft and it's moist and you want to keep it that way. So I've just been storing those in my plastic bags, and I usually bulk, I bake bulk bread all at once, and I store most of it in the freezer and pull it out when I use it. But for those moist bakes, I've just been doing plastic bags, but I am experimenting with some beeswax bags, and I hope to come out with my results and a tutorial for you soon on how I'm making those and seeing how those work. My goal is really to get rid of the plastic bags completely. I really want to be completely self-reliant here without having to buy something from the grocery store for my sourdough. So, but if you have more questions about how to store your sourdough loaves or more sourdough questions, make sure to put down in the comments below so I can know what you guys need and I can make full length videos on those as well. I love sourdough. And like I said, it's become a way of life, and now I can't imagine going back. There was a period of time when I didn't have sourdough starter, and I did see my life without sourdough again. And you know what? I hated it. I hated buying bread from the store, and I would make yeasted breads, but it just had something lacking. It just wasn't sourdough, and I didn't have that moisture and that flavor that we were used to. So I hope this answered some of your questions. This was really fun to hop on here and to hopefully see your smiling faces. Next time I do a live, I will announce it. This was my first time. This was honestly super scary for me to do. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And I think we should all do things that make us a little bit scared. It's good for us. Some things that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys are a follow-up video about our black walnut harvest. And I have this great nutcracker that my neighbor shared with me, and I'm just working on getting an affiliate discount for you guys. I'm waiting in the wings for that to see if that will come. But I'm going to show you guys how I'm cracking those black walnuts. They are super difficult to crack. I did not know that. And showing you some yummy recipes that I made with them. I'm also coming up with some winter recipes for you guys for dinner. And then also getting ready to take a big bite out of my entryway makeover. So look forward to these upcoming videos. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you next time here on the channel, and love you lots. Bye.